I'm Annapurna. Like Sir said, I've been in the technology advisory and consulting space for the last 18 years. I started off in pure technology consulting, and over the years, like cyber grew, we also uh, you decided to focus more on cybersecurity because it was clearly a risk that was going to stay for a long time. So as technology grew and as compute grew, so did many peers and our careers. So while it's a huge risk, it's something that I think is like he said, relevant for a long time to come. Um, what is interesting, particularly about this field, is it's not just about engineers and core technologists. Anyone who's interested in statistics, in analytics, in psychology, in business process, any of these can make a career here. And that's how I came in. I was originally, like I said, doing more consulting and even some IT audits. But the the way the economy grew, the way the digital economy grew, we saw that there is more opportunity here, and lots of clients had issues in the space of cyber across regulation, across actually facing incidents, and also figuring out how to respond to them. I was thinking about how to prepare for this talk, and one of the first ways to really look at it is to set some context with statistics. So I looked at India's nodal agencies for reporting any cyber incidents, especially for public and private organizations, is called CERT-In. It was established in 2004 under the IT Act of 2000, and its expansion is Computer Emergency Response Team. Like I said, it was set up in 2004, so it explains why it's called computer anything. And we also looked at, I tried to do an assessment of, is there maybe a specific trend you can look at in terms of the way the number of incidents kept growing, but there was no trend, it was just purely exponential. If you could just quickly look at what we have here, phishing is something I'll also talk about, that the number of incidents just grew, and a lot of it is because of the fact that we started increase in use of mobile phones, of cloud computing, and now of artificial intelligence. And this is only again in the last 15, 16 years. Sometime in 2022 is where there was a regulation passed saying companies, if they face a cyber incident, they're required to report it to CERT-In, and within 6 hours. So that's also why the number of incidents clearly increased. Also, if you see the different categories, all of them still exist. Phishing, unauthorized network scanning, vulnerable services, spam. It's not like spam stopped, it's just that we've accepted spam as a part of life, so we stopped reporting that as a statistic. And also, in terms of website defacement, intrusions, all of these continue to grow. And with AI, it's just the power of its growth has increased, and it takes very little skill to be able to do that. So I just talk about some of the common scams. These are again common to organizations and individuals alike. Phishing is the first one, it comes from the word to actually fish with the F. It means that they're laying bait for you to pick up. And it's one of the oldest forms of cyber crime. It usually means that someone is trying to observe your behavior, your online behavior, and essentially set a trap to either get information from you or to infiltrate your network. So phishing is pretty much one of the oldest forms, and there's a lot of innovation that has happened in phishing, and we can talk about that also. The other one, which is actually in the last 4 or 5 years, has seen a lot of increase is digital arrest. This also is a lot of it has seen increase because of things like deep fakes, or the fact that it's so easy to copy someone's voice using recording and then to use that to pretend like being someone. So digital arrest is also a space that is, again, we can talk about a little bit. Similarly, there are multiple others. Investor fraud, a lot of the SMSs that you get saying click on this and you will get X% returns. SIM cloning also is when someone just calls you, asks you maybe for your mobile SIM registration number, and you maybe give it because you think it sounds like a legitimate request. Then those people are essentially cloning your SIM and using it for basically using your identity. There's one which is my favorite, which is fake charity, which I have fallen for many times, where someone calls you and sounds desperate and says, there is a child and they're not well, and please can you donate money? And I've fallen for it multiple times till the point that they started threatening me. That's when I realized maybe this is not. So anyone can fall for it. Even people who've been in the field for a really long time can fall for it. So one of the things that many cyber criminals exploit is a fact called social engineering, where they try and observe your behavior, and many times, and then look at what can possibly be things that you'd be looking at. So if you look at what could be their own motivation, right? So it started off initially as someone who was just trying to, for mischief, break into companies' networks. These were thrill seekers. They also, many software and tech companies have this thing called a bug bounty program, saying if you find an error in my code, I will give you money. So it's also incentivized. So it used to be initially just, many times just young people trying to find a way to get into the network and show you that they've done it. And over time, it became various categories of people, nation states. That's also something we'll talk about. Cyber criminals who purely are trying to get your information for money. Also, insider threats. Many disgruntled employees, they leave organizations, but they know a lot of behavior internally, and they use that to commit fraud. So these are the motivation, or the type of people performing cybercrime has changed over the years, and also is much more professionally organized right now. It's increased over the years, and this is a trend. Is because you don't even have to be in the place to commit the crime, right? You can technically do this from anywhere. Initially it was about, do I have network access, and can I put in some malicious code? But then it became about that code spreading across multiple systems and you being able to get credentials and perform activity. So the main thing about how it's become easy is, and if you compare it to physical crime, the actual crime is very similar. You're stealing money, you're stealing information, you're threatening someone or withholding something and asking them for money. So all of these are technically our own traditional crimes. They've just been adapted to the cyber world. But it's the reason that's easier to do it online is because the chances of getting caught, if you're sitting in another country, and if the enforcement here has some lakhs of cases, and if the money is not too big, they're not going to be spending their resources on something as opposed to something that they can find and recover from here. So the or one of the key reasons is that the chances of monetization are high, and the chances of getting caught are really low. So one of the big examples or case studies in hacking or in cybercrime is the Sony hack of 2014. This was possibly one of the reasons that even hacking became famous in the corporate world. So Sony, as you know, is an organization in entertainment, in music, and in movies. It's a Japanese headquartered organization, and they have these whole suite of video games called the PlayStation. And back in 2011, a lot of when hacking or when cyber incidents started, they had there were a lot of people trying to essentially hack the PlayStation network. And they were able to do it and demonstrate it also to Sony, saying, by the way, it's weak, and we can easily hack into yours. So 2011 is pretty much when it started for Sony. They were also struggling with a lot of piracy-related issues before that. And then so there was essentially a sort of war going on between Sony and the hacking community at that point in time, because they had identified some, and Sony was then trying to sue them. So there was, one was they had weaker networks, and also they were able to essentially create a bad relationship with them. In 2014 is when there was a movie in the US called The Interview. And the plot of the movie was that these two actors are setting up a talk show, and this was to and interviewing the leader of North Korea. But the plot was essentially, the idea of the talk show was to assassinate him. That is the story or the plot. And and then what happened was this: they had they started putting out trailers of the movie, and then there was obviously a negative reaction from North Korea. They saw it as a blatant disrespect of the country, and also there were issues of then between relations between Japan and North Korea. So everybody in the studio started getting nervous, saying, is this, how do we do this? But they still wanted to release the movie because they also had arguments of free speech, and they had spent money on the movie. So there were essentially those discussions going on, I think around June 2014. And they did maybe reduce their marketing, made some edits in the movie, but they still went ahead and released the movie after a lot of pressure and fight across. But then what happened in December of 2014 is when their systems suddenly got hacked. And there were these, there were big some messages on their screen saying, we will take your money, or we have all your data. So basically all their systems became inaccessible to the users. And also what happened was these hacking groups had over 5 or 6 months entered Sony's network. And the way they did that was essentially phishing. They sent everyone emails, Apple ID emails, saying, can you please verify your ID and password? And everybody, without realizing, did verify their ID and password. And that's how they'd gotten all this access. And then they entered the network, and over 5-6 months observed the whole network, got a lot of data and exfiltrated that data. And they also did it in small amounts, so untoward activity would not be detected. And then slowly, sometime in December is when they were able to shut down the systems from outside, and were also able to, and then what they did was they started posting whatever emails they got internally on the web, and they started sending it to journalists, and essentially saying, if you don't pay up, then we will release all your sensitive information. So it was one of the first case studies of poor controls, poor corporate behavior, because from that emails there was a lot of information about how that organization was also running. And obviously people lost their jobs, many senior people. And since then there was a trend almost of 3 or 4 years where the average age of time of a CISO, of a chief security officer, steadily started becoming less, because every time there was an incident, it became a high-profile incident, and people started losing their job. But there were 3 or 4 things that we learned from the Sony hack. One was that they were using their emails almost like storage. So all their emails from many years ago continue to be there, and they were unencrypted, which means anyone, once they stole them, could read them. And because they had not maybe segmented older emails and newer emails and stored them separately, all their information was accessible. The other thing was simple things like passwords. Their passwords were also weak. One of the things that many organizations do is give a lot of privilege for 2 or 3 people, especially who are either doing system administration or managing, large, or know the organization well. These are called administrative accounts. And we also saw that within Sony, there were lots of people who had a lot of high privileged administrative accounts. So they even changed that. So things that now we do easily, though Sony became one of the big examples for what not to do from a cybersecurity perspective. And so if you look at it, it was a combination of phishing and then ransomware and then two or three things together, purely because people did not exercise what they would do in their normal, day-to-day life. In their real life, the same sort of ideas were not implemented when it came to the online life, especially with respect to an organization. This is a standard anatomy of a phishing attack. This is attackers first see and spoof and try and impersonate your CEO or someone with influence. So this is also one of my personal experiences where, most people nowadays are trained, or if you go in organizations, maybe even in yours, as part of cyber trainings, you would be getting emails, like a trick email, and they'll see if you'll click on it or not. And if you do, then you have to undergo extra training. That is your punishment. But basically what they're trying to do is to condition you to make sure that you don't click on something that's, potentially a problem. But any organization, if they're going through, say, a merger, or if there are big HR issues, then suddenly all the training and condition that may have been done or they've been put through over years is gone. So even for many companies now, what they do is they ask us to simulate a phishing exercise, saying you send out emails, we'll see how many people from the company are clicking on it. And we tried 3 or 4 times over months and it didn't work. No one was clicking, which means everybody was really well trained. But then they were going through a merger scenario and most people were worried about their own jobs. So in the phishing email we had written, it was possibly insensitive, but we are trying to test how it goes. So in the phishing email we had written saying, please click here to know about your salary, or something like that. And suddenly these really well-trained people, there were multiple clicks and we were able to collect a lot of credentials. So you can have as many controls, but a lot of the activity or the control is psychological many times. So in a phishing attack, essentially what they try and do is, there are multiple examples of this. If you're a vendor, or then you will get an email from your customer, the CEO or the CFO of your client saying, click here to make an initial payment so that we transfer your payment to you. And it will look exactly like that company's CEO's email address, but maybe one letter changed. Or now it's even more advanced. They just buy these fake domains, click on it, and then you've given up the information, or you've essentially done what they've asked you to do, which is transfer the amount. So this is perhaps one of the most widely used methods of getting into the network and using and getting people to do what you want to do. The other aspect, like I said, is the more patient kind of cybercriminal who will enter, who will read your activity, your emails over months, and then mimic exactly the way that you or your department would write those emails, so that it will even sound like someone you know. And all of that activities is done and is now made much more easy by AI, because the training of the model is so much more easier. So here are some of the common signs of phishing attacks. One is there is a sense of urgency, saying someone is locked into your account, or something like, please make this payment, or we will not do the shipment. Some of these are maybe dated. They don't have too many grammatical errors anymore, but that used to be one of the way that we could identify before. Also, unusual requests, like why will the CEO suddenly email you at 8:30 p.m. in the night, right, if you've not had a conversation. So those are some of the things that we would typically look for. And now a lot of them have reached your phone. I'm sure many of you have received messages from many Nigerian princes offering you some money, but that's maybe dated. But now there are even many bank messages that you look at, where in the beginning itself they'll ask you to click to confirm or to provide OTPs Even recently, we had someone who got a message, classic Blue Dart or one of those, saying, "We have your parcel. I need to give you the OTP. Can you just give me the OTP?" Someone called and also said, and somehow also got that person's phone lock-in. Like he was able to talk him into giving the phone login password also, and then hacked and sent WhatsApp messages to everyone on his list saying, "I have an emergency in my house. Can you please give me 55,000 rupees?" And many people, like fake charity, gave him the money and was able to, then we had to backtrack, find out who all it's gone to. But it is really easy to do unless you stop for a second and think about, I've not spoken to him for 3 months. Why should I send him 55,000 rupees? The other, I think, really scary one that many have gone through is digital arrest. This is also again made really easy by the fact that someone is able to record voices, put it on an image, and then talk to you as if they're someone important. And this again has happened to the most experienced people who run businesses, or even really young people who are in cyber, where they um, where they call you, video call you online, and then tell you that you've either been detected with drugs from your through, and your Aadhaar card is linked to it, or that that we've detected so much wrong activity in your bank accounts, and will bring in very official looking people. There's one example of a group CEO where they brought in essentially someone who looked like the Supreme Court judge, so he genuinely believed that he was talking to someone important, and lost crores of rupees. And here also there are signs to see. These people who are undergoing the digital arrest really go into a shell because they want to isolate you from the problem, so they won't tell you what's happening, but they can't tell you what's happening because they think you will also be in trouble. And this is it's remarkable how this has gone so big, because this is this is not a, there is no provision in the Indian law to digitally arrest anybody. The only thing we now have after many years is a Digital Evidence Act, where finally they're accepting emails also as evidence, but definitely no arrest is legal if it's done digitally. If you look at why some of the scams succeed, is one is in phishing, they're looking at urgency and panic. They're trying to scare you about you're going to lose something if you don't do this in this time. Ransomware is happens to a lot of organizations, where they get in and they essentially hack your data, and you're not able to operate or do your business for months. And they say the only way you'll do this is we negotiate and you pay us some ransom. So the threat here is loss of business information. Digital arrest again is fear of authority. Online dating, this is also a space where there is a lot of scam that happens. Many times people have, looking for emotional connection, are talking to people online for a really long time. Then they get a call from the airport saying, "I'm here, they're not letting me come out. The tax department is asking me for lakhs of money, you have to come and give me the money." And this person thinks they're in love, so they will go and give the money over and over again, till after 3 or 4 times when they realize this doesn't sound right. So this is also a space where there is a lot of, possibility for a scam. But what they're exploiting is someone's need for an emotional connection. Similarly, fake charity. In the age of UPI, it's really easy to keep transferring money and feel good about yourself. But you have to think about who you're transferring it to. So these are some of the common scams. Now we have currently moved beyond social engineering. So this on your screen is Aitana. She's 24 years old. She's a fitness influencer in Spain, and is fully fake. Is a deep fake account. So the story here also is the media agency who manages models for brands found dealing with models really exhausting. They were tired of dealing with, their egos. So they decided to use AI to create someone specific who they now essentially is a model for many brands. And this is using AI, and she makes, I think, close to 9,000 pounds a month. And so now that other brands also have tried and identified this, so you'll see a lot of AI generated fitness or AI generated models and influencers. And I know we can, have an ethic conversation about ethics, but it's how they have come about is that now image and voice technology can be is so can become so real that you can create images or essentially of your fantasies, and these people have a life, and they can help promote your brands. And now on the back of that, other brands have come up and says, can you build customized models for us? Obviously there are many models going out of work, but also these are easy to manage. They're also propagating a brand of perfectionism or a way someone looks that doesn't exist. But still, it's entirely possible with technology for you to create an avatar or sometimes even a real fake influencer. Since we're talking about cyber and AI, this is one of the areas I think that is most easily done now with the use of technology. So, deep fake is done using, or you can generate using generative adversarial network. It's a machine learning language which essentially works on two neural networks. One is called the generator and the other is called the discriminator. And the two are trying to create or generate basically the most realistic fake data, which means one will create and the other will keep telling you whether it looks realistic or not. So the model is essentially training itself, which is one of the foundations of how AI works. And the term deepfake was coined again in 2017 on one of the Reddit posts. And as you would expect, 98% of all deepfakes are about explicit content and pornography. But now they're also used actively in manipulating politics. So I'm sure during election time, you will suddenly see a lot of leaders talking to you and giving you very personalized messages. And also in consumer fraud, and we can talk about that. But here also another case study I wanted to discuss is an organization called Arup Engineering. It's a UK-based engineering firm. And they again had those phishing trainings that we talked about, where they tell you not to click on something. So one of their employees, I think, was asked to make a really big payment to someone, $25 million, I think. But he did not, because he was like, this is not a legitimate request. But then he got a video call from, I think, his CFO or CTO. And so this is your boss talking to you. So then he transferred the money. And and obviously this was a deep fake of that executive. It was not a real video. And this actually, it's a World Economic Forum case study also, where the CTO says it's not really a cyber fraud, it's more a social engineering issue which is helped by technology. So lots of people you see now, you could suddenly you have Mukesh Ambani telling you to use a trading platform, and it'll really look like him telling you to get on this trading platform. Also, Virat Kohli telling you to get on this betting site. So it's really easily, all you need is one reference picture and some audio of that person, and you can generate a whole video as if that person is talking to you. So that's a very real issue, because while in the others you can verify or you can step back and think about why this person is contacting you. But if you get a video call from someone who looks like someone you know and is talking like someone you know, how you have to have real awareness to stop yourself from performing that activity. There is also, I think there's another trend now where it'll start with someone in a news channel saying, use this website. It's really helpful. And And then because it started with a news channel video, many people go ahead and either, get on that site and go through that behavior. So deepfake is the next phishing that maybe many of you will encounter. So you may want to verify the videos that are coming to you. There's also useful uh, benefits from AI, and this specifically, I'm giving you 2, 3 examples of how in the consumer space, not really in the organization space, but in the consumer space, how it's helping you. So many of you now know that in UPI, you can do a 200 rupee transaction without giving your PIN number. And this actually is quite innovative also because one of the first times it's also using local language. So you can also give an instruction to your UPI app in the local language to say transfer 200 rupees. But because there was cloning and easy video recording, there was examples there also of risks in that space where someone was able to record someone's voice and now just use voice and continue to transfer 200 rupees multiple times. But here again, the UPI has caught on and now said you can only do this for up to 1,000 rupees a day or 5 transactions for you to use your voice. So anything we come up with, the cyber criminals will come up with a way to do that better. The next again is again in the space of being able to talk in local language. It's an interesting fact that India, as one of the countries, is highly uses the audio instruction function, the speaker to be able to give instructions much more than many other countries. So this was useful if you in your local language can interact with your app if you're not someone comfortable doing the touch or click. And here again, IRCTC had the feature called Ask Disha. So if you were struggling to deal with IRCTC, they had brought in a feature where you could then get a lot of your queries answered. But what also happened was in the background was there were many automated users created. So they then kept asking IRCTC over again, and they had to do a big cleanup there as well. Similarly, another space where AI looks at or has many use cases is in the field of medicine. If most people don't have access to good doctors exactly when they need them. So many hospitals, healthcare companies are coming up with, can I use AI to at least help me book, or can it help me give initial diagnosis or tell me who to go to? And so one of those clinical intelligence engines, you could use WhatsApp chat and then basis that book your lab, book your doctor, get your appointments, etc. But what also that came in because of the fact that it had an AI engine in the back was that there was some bias that comes in. So one of the big issues, especially with artificial intelligence, is normally in traditional software, you give requirements, someone develops it, then someone tests it with data, and once it passes a threshold, you then use it. So data comes in after, but your functionality comes in before. But what happens with AI, and as I understand it, is that the data comes in first. So so the way models train themselves is they look at data over and over again and then basis that build scenarios for what could potentially happen. Which is exactly like how we would learn language, right? Nobody teaches us the rules of language. You hear people talk over and over again, and then you understand that that's how you should talk. And when you go wrong is when you understand that's not what I should be saying. So AI operates almost exactly like that. It observes, identifies, looks at a lot larger scenarios, and then says this is possibly the outcome. So it's the testing or the true testing many times happens after a long time when the model goes wrong. And also many times if all they hear is one kind of data or maybe one gender or one race or one economic class, a lot of the output that comes out also is purely basis maybe that category of people. So bias is a big issue that many people, that is a key concern, and many are wondering how to model or assess for bias. There have been multiple instances where many of your global chats will potentially give you racist answers. And they had to do a lot of training to be able for them to be more inclusive. Similarly, for shopping, for anyone who does online shopping, AI also finds a lot of use there. But what we're also seeing is maybe there is bias for some products that are brought in, and they've had to get retrained for you to be able to use that well. So the basic point, especially with AI and all, from a cyber perspective, there are things that you should have done before, and we can talk about tips and tricks. But the thing to observe or understand is whatever it took in terms of resources to do, whether it's with skill of a person or with the actual use of technology, that threshold is significantly lower. With very easy tools and a lot of network connectivity, people can infiltrate, get your data, and also then use that against you. But it's we will learn only as we go along, just like we did with traditional technology. So I think staying aware and second guessing any transaction or anything you believe online should be sort of the base philosophy that you approach.
Annapurna, for introducing the world of AI to us and cybercrime. Is this a complete list or there more to come?
There is so much more.
Thank you. So I'm sure all of us are genuinely worried after this lecture.
Yeah.
And some of us would have been exposed to some of these tactics. So at what point in time, my first question is, at what point in time do we feel we are safe?
I think when your phone is off. Yeah. But I think one is, like I said, they will keep trying and attacking you. It's so easy. And your data is everywhere. Every time you've entered a building, you've given them your mobile phone and your Aadhaar card number, especially in India. So your identity and the relevant information is there everywhere. It's only a matter of someone putting some of that information together and pressuring you into, clicking that link. So you should obviously put in basic antivirus. You should make sure you have two-factor authentication. So it's easy for you also to difficult for you also to log in to your system. So some of those basic hygiene things you should do. You should set strong passwords. You should keep changing your password. You should not use your laptop or any phone or anything where you have critical information in a public space, because anyone can look in, and also basis how you're operating your fingers, identify what your passwords are. So you do have to stay very vigilant, and safety is as aware as you are.
The other thing which fascinates me is the amount of access to technologies these cyber crimesters seems to be having.
Yeah.
Many of them are from smaller towns, cities,
Yeah.
but they seem to be having expert skills on making this possible.
Yeah.
How do they have access to these technologies? Do you have an idea?
It's a lot of it is the democratization of technology. You don't have to have passed a degree to be a cyber criminal, but you should have gotten many diplomas and degrees to be able to be someone who fights against cybercrime. So it's a lot. So there is a lot of information honestly available online. Also, there is a whole concept called the dark web, which is the unsearchable web, where a lot of these tricks or the ways to do this are also explained. And also, I feel like nowadays, if you even ask Copilot or anyone, it will tell you how to do many of these things, unless it's trained to not do otherwise. So the information is fully available, and it's very easy to get trained on how to be a cyber criminal.
So what you're saying is it's not very difficult to become a cyber criminal. Thank you. That helps.
Retired civil servant. There is a new law that's been passed by the parliament. Data is oil, as you know, these days. The new act is called Digital Personal Data Protection Act.
Yeah.
It was passed in 2023 in August.
Yeah.
Even though it's now 2 years, we are in August 2025, that act has not been brought into force yet.
Yes.
Even the rules have been framed, but nothing has come on force.
Yeah.
Today we are unprotected in a way. Because whatever you have said arises from data protection.
Yeah.
If you, as you correctly said, you give data to airlines, you give to hospitals, you give to education institutions, everywhere, even banks. If to open an FD, you have to give some data. All that goes into some computer, some system. Ultimately, what happens is this very number of things happens in other systems. They are all collated. They are in fact made into sub-products. And then with the sub-products, they are able to cheat people right, left, and center.
Yeah.
Now, the point here is, as Vikram actually asked a question, when you get a message or you get something in the mobile, whatever it is, how does one get alert? See, after all, you don't know whether it's some very close friend of yours has called or somebody wants to communicate to you something very official. It could be anything. But we are not able to get into this because we are afraid to press the button or open a link.
Yeah.
Now, how do you really manage this as a citizen, as an individual citizen? Can you suggest what is it you can do?
Yeah.
Ultimately, if you lose as money, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs,
Yeah.
I mean, for pensioners like me, it's a very large amount.
Yeah.
So I would like you to please expatiate on
A
this.
couple of things to be aware of, sir. One is nobody, no bank, no authority will ask you for your ID and password on the phone. I think especially when you click on something or one of those SMSs, or if when you're getting a call from someone saying, give me this information, nobody requires you to provide that. So that itself should be, like I said, one of the first signs. The second is, like I had mentioned in the case of the WhatsApp forwards where money was asked to be transferred. All we had to do was call him and ask, did you actually ask for money? And many of us, who did end up sending the money would have confirmed. So I know there is a lot of information, lot of messages coming in. I think just exercising that discretion, saying if they're asking you for an ID and password, your first response should be no. This is not. I have not gone to the website. I have not put this in, and also my bank requires me to authenticate twice. There is a concept in authentication. It's who you are, what you know, and what you have. So who you are is me, what I know is my password, and what I have is my phone. So unless I get an OTP, you should not enter. They're not unbreakable barriers, but just knowing, especially when it means giving out information or giving your account or any other information, your first reaction should be, this is not, or you should be skeptical about it. Also, there are rules. For example, when banks send a message or they have a link or an OTP, earlier it used to be mandatory for you to, I'm not sure it was mandatory, but many would give the OTP towards the end, which means you would have to read the message about being careful. And then you give the OTP, so you're also alert. But now, because you have such little patience, they give you the OTP right up front. So whatever alerts you need to get after also you've not read. So it is a combination of your attention span, your being vigilant from your own perspective.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi.
See, recently we lost about 32,000 rupees.
Okay.
My friend in Chennai sent me a link. Can you please find out what is the rate and you can talk to them and get the best deal?
Yeah.
Since he had already sent the site, I called the number. The person talked to me very well. He put the manager, somebody said, and they were very professional. So then they told the rate and they reduced a little bit and they said you should make 50% payment and all. So I told my friend, I already talked to them, you speak to them. Because you are in Chennai, you make the payment, you can follow. So he talked to them and transferred instead of anything else. He sent by Google Pay. Yeah. Then next day he called, I have not received any receipt. So then I thought this is very, disturbing. So this number I sent to my cousin to check from Truecaller whether this number is okay or not. So he immediately said this is a fake number. So then I called the hotel. I went to the site on Google, called the hotel, and the hotel very casually said, last 3 months this is happening. Yeah. our site has been copied by somebody else.
Yeah.
We have reported to cybercrime.
Yeah.
So I said, why are you sitting like this? We have been
Yeah.
cheated. Why you can't block it?
Yeah.
He says, we have reported to cybercrime. They were very casual about it.
Yeah.
So then I told my friend immediately, file a case and cybercrime. He tried online, he tried phone. He says so busy, he could not get for one whole day.
Yeah.
He could not register the complaint. So then he said, I'm not able to register the complaint. Then we lost the money, 32,000. I went to the real site and booked online with my credit card. And then we went and enjoyed 4 days. Australia, a friend came, 4 of my classmates who all passed out in 72. We enjoyed, but we lost 32,000. My question is first, how can somebody exactly copy a site of a famous resort? And the resort, why they are so casual? Number 2, cybercrime, 3 months they have not blocked the site after they gave. So how effective is the cyber police? These are my 2 questions.
Most organizations, especially if they have popular sites, they also have this issue of fake sites going on. Also apps that you download from Play Store or from Google Store, many of them, you will also see fake versions of those. All you have to do is copy the logo and make the site look like the original, and it's one of the easier, or it's highly prevalent, the scam. And actually many companies do that. What they do is they surf the web to see what if there are fake sites, because like you said, it's that resort, you would also now be worried about recommending to someone, at least in terms of booking online. But they hire a service called a takedown service, where they look at the web, identify fakes, and then try and get to bring those sites down. But it's easy enough to bring some back all the time. So you look for secure sites, you look for HTTPS, you look for whether it's linking to a safe online banking forum. You should, instead of Google Pay, but again, it's easy enough for you to copy that as well. For the question of why is the cyber enforcement taking time? I think it is a function of resources. I was in one conversation where they have so many complaints come in, and you can again look at the certain website. They have so many complaints come in, and resources are limited. So I'm sure it's possible that they're looking at the really high value ones, and not everyone. They can investigate even, and they will, basis the IP, they'll try and find out where it'll come from. So they also do that. The police, once they identify that it's an issue, or if it's a fake number even, they work with the telcos and block those numbers. But it's again, it's function of when your turn comes. So.
The most easy thing to run away from cyber crimes, especially if you get APK files.
Yeah.
It's a very common saying that don't run APK file, run away from it.
Yeah.
So my question is, this cybercrime limit, if you have gone through any fraud, the police station, the local police will not register a complaint if the amount is less or more than 1 lakh. Then you have to go to cybercrime. Why is this differentiation? Why can't we register for all the frauds? They have differentiated between themselves. More than 1 lakh, go to cybercrime.
Yeah.
Less than 1 lakh, local police station. I don't know why.
Of numbers also, they have those thresholds, but it's where they can focus their resources. I'm not from enforcement, sir, so I can't answer why. Yeah.
When we travel or maybe in a hotel,
Yeah.
is there any extra threat when we use a public Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi? Second quick question, ransomware as a service.
Yeah.
Can you just sort of elaborate on that a bit?
So someone will, essentially, if they're able to hack into your phone or hack into your network, can technically install something like an APK file, observe your activity, and then also get your credentials, which is why they say Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi is not safe, or to not use it, especially to do any confidential activity. Ransomware as a service, you mean to perform criminal activity? So I'm sure I'm not. So I think there are criminal units who would perform. I think you can pay someone to get ransomware done, but I'm not familiar.
Apple phone and how to protect your Android phone from hackers to intrude into your phone. So, and what are the antiviruses we can use it on that?
I want to comment, but they're both, it is possible to hack into either. I think it is, I think strong passwords is one so that nobody else gets in. In terms of, sorry, your question was what is the antivirus? I'll get you some names, sir. I can't think of any right now, but I can get you some.
Day to day, we are searching so many websites daily. So even suppose I go to Airtel also to pay something, I'll get 4 sites. Any popular site I go, I get 4 or 5 sites. So how to identify that the site you are going is right, or how to identify that is?
Yeah, number of hits or the number of downloads. If it's the largest one, chances are it is the authentic one. And also there are on the website, and I can confirm this back to you, I think you look for secure links in the browser. That also I can come back on specifics there.
I just wanted to know how true and reliable is Truecaller, because we are all having Truecaller. Just like the way we are getting the information from the other person, the other person also is taking the information from us also. No?
They have your information.
So is it safe or it is okay, or there is the only way to see who is calling to us? Is it safe
many of us don't have Truecaller, so you don't have to, it's not mandatory. But it does mean that someone has your information.
That's it. Because unless we have Truecaller, we don't know whether he is a spam call or any call. We only identify the person only by nowadays, even unknown call also we are getting with the names.
Yeah. So
only through Truecaller.
One is most networks now identify if your call is a spam call, and I would not install Truecaller, because then all your contact information also technically goes into, or it's possible for it to go in to Truecaller. Yes.
I was working for a vaccine manufacturer. My head of marketing, he leaked the information pertaining to our talent pool and as well as tender prices to another company.
Okay.
Registered the case in 2015. Now I left the company, everything is over, but then the case, when it was going on in the lower court, the guy on the other side of the company side who got benefited from the tender price leakage, he went to the High Court and got it almost quashed.
Okay.
But at that time, since there were other stakes, the High Court has instructed the Commissioner of Police to somehow trace me and inform me and listen to my version.
Okay.
When I have gone through their counter, I found that we never had such an email ID, and we never operated that. The person who got benefited, he maintained we never had that kind of email ID, and the email ID which was claimed doesn't belong to me.
Okay.
How do I trace it back whether his company used that email ID about 10 years ago?
It's come from something called a domain.
Right.
And that's possibly what was used. A very maybe legitimate sounding domain was then used to create this particular email, or even the email ID, the specifics I don't know, could essentially list the company down. I think the only way or what I think would happen is that law enforcement would essentially have to then contact the specific email provider.
They have sent it to forensic lab. In fact, they have that CD which is sent to the Kukatpalli court.
Okay.
But I don't know much what is proved by them, what is not proved by them. I'm no more with the company. I don't have access to any of the records. So I want to volunteer before the High Court only in case I am able to prove that particular domain name has been purchased by company which is in existence now. It's a reputed company. If I am in a position to prove that domain name has been purchased by that company and they were very much operating in the name of that particular email ID.
That's my guess, sir, but I don't, again, offhand, I'm not sure if I should be commenting on something so specific.
Yeah, can I have your number and pass the details to you?
Yeah.
One of the most important things, I think, for everybody is the standard old clause, don't click on a link.
Yeah.
Just don't click on a link unless you've asked for it. If it's come from anywhere, assume it's a fraud of some sort. But the one thing I was thinking that if you could talk about would help everybody this new thing that's come up about QR code scanning. I think they're calling it quishing now.
Yeah.
Because that's something, especially in India. Every one of us is going around scanning QR codes all over the country.
Yeah.
So if you could just talk about that for everybody.
And many times with QR codes, there are again, especially if you do them at maybe locations that are suspect, you could have files again which can be downloaded on your phone, and therefore your phone becomes vulnerable. Is that what you're? Yeah. So that's from a QR code scanning perspective. Many frauds can also happen. I know it's really easy to use, UPI for this, but it's potentially one of the frauds that can happen by using QR codes.
So I wanted to know, in our home networks, when we use OTT on Wi-Fi and mobile phone and Wi-Fi, are we exposing ourselves to cyber threats continuously?
I've not come across any issues because of OTT on your home Wi-Fi. If your home Wi-Fi itself is, again, if you've maybe downloaded the wrong version of the OTT app, potentially, but otherwise I've not come across any issues because of the download of or viewing OTT on Wi-Fi.
After this very exhaustive talk about all these details, I may sound a little anticlimactic, but I personally do not find anything new in all these. Only the platforms are different, the titles are different. Right from the ancient times, the Mahabharata times, even when we talk about the gods they were freezing, there was deep faking, gods coming in some other form. So what's new about it? We are unnecessarily alarmist, I think, unless the only thing that we need to keep in mind is we must be alert.
Yeah.
Other than that, there is nothing else. Nothing is new.
No, I didn't think of gods being deep fake.
In the mobile phones, previously Google was a search engine.
Yep.
Now Meta is coming.
Yep.
Whether it is really a authentic search engine.
I don't think I've come across. What is the search engine called, sir?
M-A-T-A.
Okay. No, I understand. I've not used their search engine, but it's entirely possible.
Too much coming. Okay. That is the reason I have to express.
Okay.
I use generally is don't answer any bank call. You generate a call.
Yeah.
You call the call center and give information what you have. So don't give information when you get the call.
Yeah.
You generate the call. That's the number one. And second thing, I have 2 emails. One email, give it everywhere you want. The one email which is sacrificed, which is give it only to the bank.
Yeah.
Only the exclusively email only for bank purpose. Rest you can have other email, give to anywhere you want. Similarly, phone number. You have 2 phone numbers. One phone number only linked to the bank. Don't use that number anywhere. That way you can 90% will solve.
Where I almost got scammed. My insurance policy was to be renewed in March. So around the first week of Feb, I got a call from the company with whom I had the policy. And they said, sir, you have to renew the policy. And I said, fine, I'll do it. There's no problem. He says, no, I want to brief you about some changes in the policy terms. And he said, your premium has gone up by some 10,000 rupees and this benefit is curtailed to so much and this benefit is curtailed to so much. So I said, okay, you can't do this. He said, no, sir, it's universally we've changed the terms of the policy. I hung up. 2 minutes later, I get a call from another insurance company offering me a policy for the price of my earlier policy. So I started talking to them because I was upset with my company for increasing the premium even though I've been with them for 15, 20 years. Then my wife's same thing happened. And that is when I wisened up. So this company, and I can name it, Care Health, or through their agents, they're doing this. They call you, they know your insurance, because now it's all public data. They can check whether you're insured, where you've been insured, when your policy is expiring. They call you and tell you your policy terms are changed. Somebody calls you. And then Care agent calls you and tells you we can offer this at this lower price. And then you fall for it. It's not a scam in that sense. You are getting a genuine insurance policy, but you are being deceived into changing the service provider.
When you do a bank transaction, you get an OTP.
Yeah.
right? Nowadays, what happens, OTP gets pasted automatically.
Yeah.
So, do you think that's risky, or do you think we should not take it but type the OTP yourself?
Yeah. 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 It doesn't get pasted. You receive it and you say, yeah. Yeah, so it is, yeah. Got it. No, it does. No, it's, I think as long as you're not sharing the OTP, yeah, iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that considering that all of you have personal experience on scamming, I'll wind it up now and just tell you that I was very intelligent in a scam attempt. 2 months back, I got a message from my mother-in-law on my SMS saying, "Hi, how are you?" She's never said hi in the last 38 years of marriage.